So now I've got almost 3 sides done. Just a grill, a fan and a grill, and a fan and a grill. Now, since the fan is on the inside and the grill is on the outside, I'm going to have to put screws in after I put the lid on. So I'm using these little self-tapping fan screws. I used to find them in computers. I found some on eBay. In other words, the side of the top will be sandwiched between the fan and the grill. And these self-tapping screws self-tap into the fan. Now on the side here where I just have a grill, I also use the self-tapping screws. I just drilled smaller holes and tapped it into the plastic. I tried to fasten the 2 halves of the enclosure together with a whole bunch of really strong gum bands. Then turn it on end and proceed to try to drill these holes with a hole saw. I didn't do too badly. Fortunately, my drill press is equipped with an infinitely variable speed, so I could crank it down to 7, 8 RPM. But I usually succeeded in getting 1/2 moon or 1/2 circle cut through, and then the remaining half circle stayed. Years ago, and I don't know where these came from. Now that's a military wrapper. Got a whole bunch of them. And they look like this. And they are great for just eating out what was the residual. The saw had made a circle the whole way around. It just didn't go through. You can see where the saw itself, the case tore out, and we scratched it. I'm awaiting front panel parts from, I don't know, maybe China. I don't like to drill. I'll center punch these holes and probably cut out this panel. But I hate to drill them until the parts are in hand. That way I can match the diameter of the drilled holes to the bushing diameter of the whatever's passing through. This is what this dummy load is going to look like. Put a coaxial power jack on the back. It's quite noisy. There's a lot of air coming out of here. There's some coming out up here. I didn't drill the holes in the bottom. I have only 2 blue jacks. I have a red and a black jack, and I have the red and black wires that will go through these little tiny holes. So I may just use other colored jacks here until I get some blue jacks. I can wire these 2 up from behind because they have a lug on the back. This has removable connections, so I can take it off. But these will end up being wired from the back. I need to put the front label on. As I explained earlier, I like to make these templates. This one would be used for drilling and cutting of the front panel. This one would be actually the front panel finished. That is glued onto the backing. What I did is make up the same thing but without color. That way I could print it on a laser printer, not an inkjet printer. And what I did is I printed it on a blue sheet of cardstock. Then I cut it out. Then I'm going to fasten it to the substrate. I'm going to use a double-sided roll-on glue. I got this on eBay. I found this earlier, so I bought some more, also on eBay. I'll do the same thing. I'll be careful not to wrinkle this because it's cardstock. I'll fasten it on one end, lift up this end, put the tape on, put it down. Now I can do this because the front panel mounting recess on this particular bastardized panel. See, there's how thick the rear panel is. The front panel securing slot is twice as thick, which allows me to cut the paper full size. That is, it disappears beneath the bezel. Here's a panel. I did use colored letters, but the back, this is cardstock again. And you see, cardstock does not pass underneath the bezel. It's tied up against the edges, but see here, it's a little. So one advantage of this enclosure that I have no description of is that I can do that. So the wiring for this is pretty simple. 12-volt power jack on the back. The power jack has a red and a black wire on it. I took a red wire to the switch from the power jack. And I took a red wire from the switch back to this bundle here. What I did was gather all the black wires together, there's 4 of them, and all the red wires together, there are 4 of them, and I soldered them and put this plastic cap on them. The 4 black wires are the black wire from the negative side of the coaxial connector. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 4 being this little connector that goes to the front panel meter. A red wire to the front panel switch. A red wire from the panel switch down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they are here in this connector. I don't know if you can see them, but there's 4 of them there. Put this big tie wrap around because although I'm using silicone insulated wire, the fan wires are not. So I put the fan wires under this fan and then tried to trap them on this side of this big tie wrap to hold them away from the heatsink. So let me give you an idea of where I'm going here. I'm going to have a flexible black wire and red wire. Picture these as all blue, including the one that's not installed. So I can put this red wire in any one of these 6 holes. I'm going to store it up here. Looking at the schematic, the red flexible wire connects to the red banana jack and to the white sense wire, or the thin sense wire. In this case, it's white. And that's what we've done here. Flexible wire connects to the red banana jack and the white sense wire. Alright, I've got the black wire hanging out the front, and I'll just store both the red and the black somewhere. Doesn't really matter. Now what did I do? Well, the schematic shows the heavy red wire from the panometer connecting to the flexible black wire. So that's just a splice. I soldered them and then I put a cap on. As far as wire management, I took the iron and poked a hole through the edge of the display to give me a hole to tie wrap the red wire to. The last thing we have to do, I think, is take the heavy black wire and connect it to the black 4mm banana jack. Well, I misspoke when I said this was the last wire to run. I did run it. Here it is, the black wire to the black binding post. Forgot about these. There are the 6 blue, imagine they're all blue jacks. They need to be connected 2 by 2 to the resistors. Take 6 little pieces of purple silicone insulated wire. I have that here. The resistors are here. I'm missing one of the blue. And of course you're to picture these as all being blue. So this should be the completed wiring. I did not hook up wires to these 2, the one that's missing and this one next to it. They're down here. So if you want to look at that, go ahead. So here's the completed unit, missing this 2mm jack, and of course these all should be blue. And I need 2 more of these jumpers. A possible combination, I think this requires the most jumpers. Here the red wire is connected to here, the black wire is connected to here. I'll need a jumper to here and a jumper to there. And a jumper from here to there to there. Well, these are stackable jumpers. I could actually do that with the black jumper hooked here, and then that would be the black jumper. Da-da-da. These are the little 2mm banana plugs. These are just straight 2mm banana plugs. This plug when this little flap has been closed and locked, becomes a stacking. I can take another 2mm plug and put it in the jack portion of the stacking style plug. This isn't blue wire, I think it's purple, but that's close enough for it. And what happens is it must get soldered to the side of this plug. But it can't stick in that hole because you see, for me to push the new banana plug, see if I can get this in focus. There's a hole there that if you were going to stick a wire in here, you would heat this and put the solder down that hole. I can't stick anything through that hole because, see how it goes down there? This actually goes past what we would think of as the hole for solder. This is some 22 AWG flexible, very flexible. It's Chinese, but it's rated 200 degrees centigrade. What I'm going to try to do now, the trick to using these strippers is put the wire in, strips it, it grabs the wire. You might strip it there. Don't let go of it. Go the whole way. And then you see this will not collapse until the little grabber back here lifts up, allowing you to pull the wire out. Otherwise, this will slam shut and mangle the end of your stranded wire. Well, this is not good. I've lost one of my alligator clips. This is 40 years old and I'm just now losing the alligator clip. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is tin this stranded wire. And then I'll try to get a little dot of solder on the back of this gold colored metal. The wire is off to one side. It's just sort of laying there soldered. I think I'm going to try to bend it. The solder is wicked up into the flexible stuff. I'm hoping that by bending it that way, to force this to remain on this side of the rubbers of the jack. Yeah, our bench block. With our bench block in place, we'll flop this over. Wish my fingernails were in better shape. And push it down. There we have it locked in place. And so it's locked in place. It's down, locked in place, and here is another. And it's stackable. The only problem is I don't have any more of these blue little I'm at the mercy of eBay sellers. I've hooked up the big Hewlett-Packard power supply. I've adjusted it to 28 volts. It displays a little less than 3.5 amps, a little less than 100 watts. At 28 volts, we should be getting 3.5 amps and developing 100 watts. And that's close enough. Been running for not quite 10 minutes. I can feel maybe a little heat. And at 3.5 amps, these number 22 wires, there's no heat at all that I can feel. I think these 2mm connectors are probably good for 5 amps. So there we go. I'll play around with the calibration on that meter and we'll test our power supplies. If you enjoyed this, you know the routine, thumbs up. And by the way, I will have all of this paperwork in PDF form available at the links down below. Thank you.